morning and welcome back to another video. In this video we are gonna show you how we make our sweet cream and how we turn the sweet cream into butter. So as you saw, we have brought in our milk from our milking and we are gonna heat it up. So yeah, let's get started.
So we have 2 liters, which is from 2 different milkings, which is every other day. So from 4 days we only get 2 liters. So 1 liter a day. Really not the best, so it's not really going to make a lot of cream. It is a very small amount, but they're closing up on their own, and we are going to be closing them up fully. And yeah, first thing we're going to do is make cream, so we're going to heat it up to 45 to 49 degrees. Another way of testing is just putting your finger in, and it needs to be just a bit too hot for your finger, but not too hot. That's like the old school way of testing if it's warm enough. And then you put it in a milk separator. I guess, how did you do it back in the day? I don't know. I think they just, my aunt for example, she just takes the layer from the top of the milk off, and that's how you get cream, because cream is floating at the very top, the heaviest, I guess, cream. So that's how she gets her cream. But we are going to use a milk separator, which is much more faster and more efficient.
So we are going to use thermometer.
Yes, we need to wait quite a while because it takes a while to warm up. We're on 19 degrees, 21, 22. Should I just do a countdown?
No.
If you have never seen the process or what we're doing here, it's called separating the milk. And this is like a basic home milk separator. It takes cream is coming out the top and milk comes out the bottom. So this is like low percent milk and this is high percent sweet cream. And you can adjust how thick you want it. I have it like on the least thickness because we use it a lot for coffee, so we want the most cream. And then the milk is pretty much having not much in it, mostly water, but you can still make cheese out of it. And yeah, then you can use your sweet cream to turn it into sour cream if it just gets a bit old. But yeah, that's pretty much the basic way of making sweet cream.
That's it, that took like 2 minutes. Not even actually.
We are running it twice just because we want the most cream. And you can sometimes get a bitty out. And it still comes out creamy. That's most important. If it doesn't come out creamy, then you know, no point running it twice. But it's still coming out a tiny bit. So we used to fill up the whole thing. The thing that's missing there, it went in the dishwasher because I don't want it to keep leaking and making it all wet. So yeah, it was the whole thing was with 1 day was full, which is 6 liters, and sometimes we even got more than that. But yeah, this one we used to get full high percent sweet cream. 2 of these we used to get from 1 day, and now we get 1 full, but this is like low fat, so this one does not whip into whipped cream anymore. The other one would whip into whipped cream and turn to butter. This one doesn't whip. This is just for coffee, and I guess for like sweets and stuff you could use it. But it's not for whipping. We would have to turn it up and then you only get like a tiny bit. Because this is pretty liquidy. It's not so heavy like we used to make it.
Yeah, what we used to have was I think like even 40% sweet cream.
Very, very thick. It was really
extremely
not flowing.
Yeah, and this one I think is like 20 something.
Maybe 20%.
Yeah. And let's get to the next part. So now as you can see, I have brought out the mixer and I'm gonna make butter from sweet cream. I already shake them up because as an instinct, every time I take them from the fridge, I shake them. So you cannot really tell how much it is. This one's this much and this one is quite full. So these ones are the heavy creams before we turn the screw so it releases more. So those are like around 35–40%. And every time I make butter, I'm always stressed out because I'm afraid that it's not gonna whip. So sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it is pretty fast. So it's always a surprise. So let's just pour in the cream and see what happens. This one, as you can see, is very heavy. So obviously I cannot put water inside to flash it out a bit and put it inside because that would ruin the thickness of the sweet cream. So what we do, we put some water inside, or from the leftover milk from the cream milk separator, we put this one inside and we give one to Pitts and one to Keita. So I'm gonna put those aside, and I really suggest put this one because it can get real messy. Put it all the way to high speed and leave it alone. So as you can see, it's becoming whipped cream, which means a success. Once it has gotten to that part, nothing really much can go wrong. Now we just have to let it over whip, and in theory you could now stop it and use it as whipped cream. We have used it in cakes and sweets, but it's already becoming much more thicker and like breaking down the whipped cream, and that's a process that becomes into batter. I cannot still understand and like understand how it's turning like that, and yeah, but that's how you make batter. We are getting close to the part where it's gonna get really messy. That's why I put the lid on top, and I would suggest also to put something here because it can splash. If you are not next to it at this part, you need to be quite close because it's the part where the liquid separates from the fat. So this part's gonna happen and pretty much the water's gonna splash everywhere if you're not next to it. So as you can see, small pieces are forming. Part, like it's like within seconds it's gonna become a lump. It's already happening. You can already see it's unsticking from the sides, and like that's how fast it happens, and you need to turn it off fast because yeah, it already, I told you it's like seconds. And now we're gonna swap the sticks. As you can see, that's already better. And now we're gonna mix it in slow speed just to fold in the batter, and so the batter becomes one piece and the liquid separates, and then we're gonna change the water. Can go up to 2, so it's slowly just gonna form it into one bowl. Help it out a bit to make it into one bowl. And buttermilk is actually a pretty popular drink, but we're not the biggest fan of it. It's not what I would prefer. So our animals get it, and if we go to David's aunt, we give it to her. But it can stay in the fridge for a bit, but as I say, we're not the biggest fan of it. So yeah, we're just gonna put it aside. So I'm gonna form the batter now. And since it's fat, it doesn't stick in the hands, so it's pretty good. So now we're gonna fold it in, I think once or twice. We have to make sure that while the batter is folding, that the water stays clear. So we need to do it as many times as until the water is clear, which for us I think it's 2 times. We put in freezing cold water, and I've seen a lot of people that do it per hands. They put ice cubes in their water, but our water is pretty cold and it wouldn't make sense to put ice cubes with the mixer, and it does the job. So I'm gonna need David to put me down the mixer. Down the butter, and I'm putting it on 1 speed just so the water doesn't splash everywhere. And we are gonna run the water 1 time, I think, again, and it should be fine. Squeeze out all the water as much as possible. Okay, and swap it once again, and it should be done. And as you can see now, the water is pretty clear, so that's pretty good. The reason why you want the water to look clear is because you want all the milk to be out of the batter, because that makes it last longer. You can preserve it pretty much unlimited, and it has really not expiry, because since you have all the milk out, all you have left is just the fat in theory. So yeah, it pretty much makes it last forever. And I think we are done. Park it. So So when I first wanted to make butter, when we bought the milk separator, milk cream separator, I also wanted to buy this little glass jar with a hand spinning thingy. I'm gonna put a picture. So I wanted to buy this one, and then David said, why to buy this one if we have a mixer that does it for you and you don't need to spin it with a hand? And yeah, we tried it once. The mistake was it didn't whip because it was low percent and it was warm, so whipped cream needs to be as cold as possible. And of course not frozen, cold, fridge cold. And the tray, I'm also keeping it cold. I'm keeping it in the storage room, which is a bit colder than here. So that also helps just being cold, and then it whips better. So yeah, I think that technique is working perfect. I can make butter within like 10 minutes with pretty much not much effort. I just whip the whipped cream, not me, the machine. And all I have to do is just form the butter and make sure that I change the water 2 times and you have butter. So that's how easy it is. I was blow-minded how easy it is, and it was one of the main things that we did with our milk. And I think I already have a kilo of butter, like those little thingies, times, I don't know, 6-7 times. And from 1 glass jar of sweet cream, it makes this much butter. So I'm gonna form it nicer. I wanted to buy those forming thingies, but I never get to buy them, so I'm just forming them like little soap cubies with my hands. And then I'm putting them cooking paper. So I'm forming it a bit better. And in the fridge it goes for cooking and for doing Christmas cookies. I forgot to say that you can also add salt and pepper to make it salted butter, or maybe sugar, I don't know, depends on how you want it. But since I have already some salted peppered butter in the fridge, I decided just to make a plain one for cookies. But I have also experimented a bit around, and I made yellow butter by adding maybe a bit too much of turmeric. And yeah, it looks more like neon yellow. I don't know if you can see really the color. And I also added some dried dill. So I've been experimenting around of things to add inside. And yeah, it has been tasting very, very good. So yeah, let's put it in the fridge. Before I end this video, I also want to say that we did experiment around on making cheese when my mom was here. So we have tried this one, but we didn't film it because I thought we were going to make a video, which turned out we never made a video. And I also made cajeta, which is pretty much caramel, Mexican caramel. It is called cajeta just because, and not simple caramel, because it has goat milk and caramel has cow milk, so that's why it's called cajeta. And yeah, it has been very, very tasty. We have stocked up on this one, so we can eat it over the winter. You can use it over ice cream, yogurt, or over pretty much anything, oatmeal. So it's very, very nice. And yeah, not really much more to say. I think we have talked enough in this video, and I hope it was not too long or too boring or too much information. But as I said, we wanted to make that video long time ago, so it's pretty much all that information combined in one video, so we had a lot of things to say. But yeah, our goatee girlies, they're gonna go to the boys, but only 2 of them. We're not doing the same mistake and having so much milk because we cannot consume so much, and I think 2 is enough for us for this year. We will see if we need more and how that goes, because also the goats, once they have given birth once, they will produce more milk the next year and more milk the next year. So that's how it goes. So we will see how much milk we get. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and we are gonna see you in the next one. Back to work, back outside, back in the cold.